Hi everybody, welcome back. Yes, I had that cup of tea and a couple of ginger nuts and they were good, so hopefully my voice is okay for the next little bit of this adventure. Let's see what we can do moving forward. It's a little bit chilly here in the basement at East Coast on Great Yarmouth, but we're going to do our best without freezing my little toes and fingers off. So let's continue this adventure. To speed things up, I won't go into the numbers of the dice, etc. I just play pretending I'm describing this to others like an audiobook. So let's just push forward and see what happens next. The way ahead slopes down and bends around a corner. The heroes step up to look around. Let's see what is going on as we approach this door. There's symbols on it. Make a Wisdom 5 test. You get 2 chances, or you can use a Wisdom token to pass. If you succeed, you manage to work out how to open this door. If not, we have to turn back. Okay, well there's no way the barbarian's going to make a 5+ test on a D4. So it's down to the dwarf now. Yes, the dwarf seems to understand what these markings mean, and by pressing some symbols and with a few clicks, the door opens. Well done. And in front of us, beyond the door, are some dimly lit stairs. Out of the gloom in front of you is a staircase. The question is, where do they lead? As we go down those stairs, mighty crash behind us, a portcullis comes down. It looks like there's no turning back now. The portcullis does have a lock, meaning if we find a key, perhaps we can back away and leave this dungeon. But we've already passed the halfway mark, and there's no way we're going to leave the young farmer's daughter behind, especially now that the dwarf likes killing goblins. In front of us at the bottom of the door, we find a door. We push it open, and in front of us, it's the guard room. Aha! This is where the villains might be holding out, waiting to go on their next raiding party. We have a reward and an ambush. I think we take the reward first, actually. It is a dead orc, stumped against the door. It's always a good day when you find an orc. All increase a bravery token, and you may even take the melee weapon. Okay, so increase bravery. Let's have a quick look. The barbarian has a bravery of 3. You cannot increase to a 4. So what happens is you start again from a 1. The dwarf has a bravery of a 1, and I'm going to flip that token over to a 2. And obviously, as we open the door, it is an ambush. Was it behind us? Was it in front of us? It was in front of us. Goblins. We have to fight 4 goblins. So what was 4 goblins standing over the body of an orc? I'm gonna say they got revenge. Maybe it was something to do about them beating up the goblins earlier on. The guard room can have 3 people. So one's going to stand back. The dwarf will take 2, and the barbarian will take 1. There we go. So the dwarf goes in first, and he's going to roll 8 versus 8. Ambush. The goblins swarm the dwarf, but the dwarf's armour holds out against the blows. The barbarian is surprised to see the goblins spilling out of the door and attacking him. I'm afraid he doesn't get to charge in when they're ambushed. All he's got to do now is fight one goblin. He swings and the goblin ducks underneath his blow. Damn. The goblin gets a stab in. And the goblin puts a wound onto the barbarian. Damn, it is going really badly for these heroes right now. Next fight round, back to the dwarf. 8 and 8. Bringing up his shield to block the blow, the dwarf brings his hammer down onto the goblin. And with a sickening crunch, the goblin dies. We roll for experience, and we will roll a cocked die. And no joy, it was such a simple kill. We didn't get any sort of experience learned from that. And now the wounded barbarian will attack his goblin. Weapon blows clash as they both stand off against each other. The end of turn, and now we have space for another goblin to come charging in and picks on the dwarf. 4 versus 4. Sorry, that's a D8 versus D8. Hey! And the shield once again works. And indeed, another goblin dies. But I'm afraid another one wakes up, probably from the bed in the guard's room. End of turn. Nope, we've got the barbarian next. And the barbarian. Ooh. Yes, I'm afraid the barbarian gets wounded, but it's only a scar. And now the goblin comes in again. Damn them. More than we imagined. 8 versus 8. Going to use our fight token for the dwarf to re-roll this. Come on. No. Our heroes have been having it quite bad. Thankfully, the armor of the dwarf is what exactly he's needed. New round of combat. Let's do the dwarf again. We need a breakthrough. Shield takes the blow of the goblin. And another goblin dies. I must confess, the dwarf is doing really good with that. And now the barbarian, come on my friend, you are wounded, but you can do this. It's just one goblin. Yes, indeed. Duck and dodge, gain a fight 1 token. That is a nice bonus. We dodge, we duck, we stab, and we kill. And experience is learned. Excellent footwork. Right, new turn. Come on, dwarf. It's just the one now. One scared goblin. Yes. Shield work once again. Bringing the hammer down. Killing the goblin. But no reward. The guard room now is empty of goblins. Just like the orc, they're all dead. Now, the situation now is the barbarian does not have any bandages, nor does the dwarf. So we have to keep that wound on us, and we have to be careful because 3 is the maximum we can take before trouble happens. Perhaps since the guard room has now been visited, the lady that's been trapped can be found. A few rats scuttle past in this hallway as your light reveals a few rags and bones that they've been nibbled on. Several pairs of teeny red eyes peek out of the shadows. It's not only the rat. It is bats. The air is filled with bats. First a rising noise, and out of the tunnels a wave of flapping wings and claws. 2 bats per hero. We have big bats. Fighting D6, physical D6, damage D6, experience 6+, 1 wound. We have wave 1 and 2 and fly. Right, first off, let's find our 4 bats. We have 4 bats. Now the hallway only has 2 versus 2, but the fly ability means they can bypass that, meaning everybody gets swamped by bats. Good news is though, they're not that tough. So let's start off with the barbarian and move down, and that way we won't get my confusion. So the barbarian will charge down the hallway. Yes, that was a 6. Excellent. Charging down the hallway, we hit one of the bats. It doesn't have a defense, it just dies. So bat is gone. Experience on a 6. No. Over to the dwarf. Watching the barbarian charge down the hallway past him, the dwarf starts swinging his hammer high in the air. And there is a crunch, and a bat falls out of the air. And you are rewarded by that. New turn, barbarian. 8 versus 6. The sword. Yes, indeed. How heroic against the bat can you be? Blow to the limb. There isn't much ins left with a bat, so no, you die, my friend. Oh, we're getting more experience killing bats in the air. My god, it's like an episode of Count Dracula and Sesame Street or something. Right, what we got left now? New round of combat, and we just have the dwarf with 1 bat remaining. And the shield blocks, allowing the hammer to come down, killing automatically. And I'm afraid another bat does turn up. The dwarf is going to take that. And the bats are swarming all over the dwarf. Looks like the bats will try and get their revenge. Damage. And lo and behold, the bats do tend to claw away at the face of the dwarf. The barbarian looks in wonder as his friend is covered in bats. A new round of combat. The dwarf is not having this. Come on, my friend. Yes, indeed. Heroic time. A powerful blow. Target takes 2 wounds guaranteed. Take a fight of bravery 2 token. So after being attacked by those spare extra bats that came rushing down, the dwarf had enough and literally pummeled it to bits in a huge rage with a powerful blow. And I think he will take a fight 2 token. So that was really impressive and all gone. So yeah, that was quite a squishy bit of fun actually. Let's go forward. We're getting there. We've both taken a wound each though. So the clock is ticking. We have a tight space ahead. Rockfall from the weak ceiling has forced this path to narrow. It's a squeeze, but we can get through. Danger. torch, meaning passing over. Oh, look, we come to a dead end. Your travels lead you to a solid wall with no option but to find another way back. You have to roll. Ah, maybe there's something in the corner of our eye. We do find footprints. We do realise, yes, and it is dead end actually. The footprints lead us in a different direction, most probably the way we came back. We do get a clue though. We're turning back. So what that means is you just turn that behind the previous card and roll just a single one, which is danger. So yeah, we're following the footprints the way we came. Everything is fine. That passes over. It turned out okay. Ah, the dank, heavy air assaults your senses. In the middle of this room is the cause of it. A well, dark and bottomless. Danger and effect. We have danger and we have the torch passing. We will take, the dwarf will take the danger in case it affects him only because of his armour. Ah, slumped against the wall, or should I say the well actually, is a dead adventurer. Looks like that person went down the dead end and came back, and that must have been the footprints that we saw. In his cold dead hands there is something. The dwarf is going to crouch down and have a look. We roll a d6, we add this symbol here, which is a +1, and we will find out what we have discovered. A 1 + 2. Ah, gas. It was a trap. Front of party, take 1 wound, no defense. Oh my word. Looks like someone has set us up. Damn, this isn't too good. We've got 1 wound left. We didn't really need that at all, actually. We really need to find out what's going on here. We're getting so close. Ah, dungeon cells. A morbid vile space with damp walls and ceilings dripping with moss. Peeking through the dirty bars, you wonder if they're being used. Yes, it is here in our short story where we find the farmer's daughter. So we rescued her now. We just need to get to the very end of the dungeon, fight the last few villains who kidnapped her, and we can wander home proud. But there is danger for being here, but there's also a chance of reward. Come on now. Yes, indeed. Reward and a torch. And I just let the dwarf try the reward first before we end up with the torch symbol. There we go. What could this be? Oh, we struck pay gold. Roll a d6 and we do get a plus, actually. Come on now, come on now, come on now. 4 + 1 is 5. We find gems worth 5 gold. Excellent. Ah, good. So for some reason, not only was the farmer's daughter still here, they was actually keeping. I'm going to give this to the dwarf, and he will share it out semi-equally. He will get 3, Barbarian will get 2. So it looks like they dragged the farmer's daughters here, and any loose coal they've stolen from any of the farmhouses as well. Oh, that's pretty cool. Right, so we've dusted her off. We are heading down some passageways now. You find some candles nested along the wall. A faint smell of burning still hangs in the air. Has somebody just been here? Could have been the orcs and the goblins. And yes, there is danger. It is a trap. Damn. Maybe we were looking at those candles when we should have been looking where our feet was. The leader must make a test, and that test is perception 4+. The leader at the moment, and we haven't changed that, is the dwarf. His perception is a d8. Or use a perception 2 token to automatically pass. I do not have one. 4+. Oh, we rolled an 8. We see the trap and we avoid it, so no harm comes to us. Ah, those And yes, our final destination. Just a generic card right now. We have finally arrived at the place we've been seeking. It's the time to do what heroes are born to do. One last battle. So here is where we're going to fight some goblins. So we're going to go back to our Sly Goblin card. And what tends to happen generally, unless there's something special, is the end monsters are always one level higher. So in a level 1 dungeon, it's 2 goblins per hero. Because this is the big battle at the end, it'd be classed as a level 2, which simply means 3 goblins per hero. So right now we need to get 6 tokens out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. At our destination, which is a big open cavern, only 4 can fight. So 2 out of 6 will have to put those there. And the other 4 will be divided equally to the barbarian and to the dwarf. Right, this is the battle now. And as you can see, we are cutting it close. But heroes do what heroes do. So let's start with the barbarian, dwarf, barbarian, dwarf. The barbarian pushes the young lady to one side. We're going to deal with this. And he goes charging in with his sword. Charging in means a D10 versus a D8. Here we go. I'm afraid swinging the sword wildly, the goblins sidestep, and it is them that get the attack advantage in. And the barbarian takes his 3rd wound. So as you can see, he has taken 3 wounds and his limit is now 3. So what happens now is he still in the game or is he going to pass out? So what we need to do now is to see if his strength and his bravery holds him in the fight. So he has to make a bravery 4+ roll. If he passes, he will continue. If he fails, it's going to be something bad. Now his bravery is a D8. And we do have bravery tokens. So we need to roll 4+. And we rolled a 4. So even though he's losing blood and he's literally on his limit, he is still in the fight. We do give him a token though, called badly wounded. So this reminds us that he is pushing it. Now with badly wounded, he's not allowed to use these talent tokens anymore. So now he can't use his bravery, he's got a fight there, he's got a physical there. So he's really being pushed to his physical limits, and another blow could be quite deadly for him. So hopefully the dwarf can do better. So the dwarf will be rolling a D8 versus 8. Yes indeed. Well done. Ah, yes indeed. Battle cry. Your engaged monsters of bravery up to D6 run off. Your engaged monsters, so that is literally 2 monsters disappear. Okay, that is good. All heroes gain a bravery 1 token. Ah, that is really good as well. So he will get a bravery 1 token, and he won't get one because of his effect. I cannot believe. Well done. The barbarian was just about to collapse to the ground, and it is the dwarf that charges in. But as you know, they are replaced by those. Right, it is now a new turn. The barbarian, an 8 versus 8. Ah, yes indeed. The barbarian lashes out with rage. Off with his head. Target is killed outright. Ah, yes indeed. Massive blow. Gain 2 XP. That is award winning. That is really, really good. Come on now, dwarf. 8 versus 8. And yes indeed. The dwarf hammer hits hard. do we kill? Yes, we do. The goblin dies. We roll for experience. Cocked die. Ah, I'm afraid another goblin enters the cavern. New turn. The barbarian now will fight. 8 versus 6. Yes, indeed. Damn it. The goblin takes a nasty wound, a scar, shall we say, but it's still in the battle. Come on, dwarf, you can do this. Yes, 8 versus a 7. Next party, if you kill your enemy, okay, let's see about that roll first. Yes. If you kill your enemy, you may roll your weapon damage die against a second engaged target, and we do have one. I rolled a 1. No, that's a shame, but we do get +1 to our experience roll. So we killed one creature, and we add +1 to this, which is a 6, which means loot of 1. We'll probably find that after the battle, and an experience point. Wow, okay, now here we go. New turn. 1 versus 1. This is against the wire. Yes, indeed. Heroic action on the barbarian. Teamwork. Increase a fight token, and all heroes gain a bravery 1 token. Okay, well, if there's one off counter, we'll add it later. So basically, great teamwork back to back, but we still do a normal damage roll. And yes, the goblin dies. And look at that. It means an experience point and gold for the barbarian. Barbarian is literally on the edge of his health there. And now we're just down to the last, hopefully, fight heroes. We are going to roll an 8 versus a 6 for the dwarf. These dice rolls are coming up really good. It is a good blow. Increase your damage die by 1. We move from a D8 to a D10, and the hammer blow is a 7. Goblin is dead. And we do actually get experience as the last blow ends up killing the last goblin. Oh my word. We did it. It was literally cutting edge. And believe it or not, everybody, most of the games do end up in a semi-balanced way where you're literally fighting at the very end. We had no bandages, and we're literally on the last of our legs standing. We didn't have any tests for being tired in the dungeon where we have to eat food, because it wasn't much of a big dungeon, and we just did good, really. We just did good. No, we didn't use any of those. So the adventure is over. We all gain 1 experience point for completing the adventure. Ka-ching, ka-ching. And we just have a quick look at the back of this card. And the only thing that affects us at the end of the card is the dwarf. The love of gold. End of dungeon, gain its level +1 in gold. So what that means is, during the whole dungeon adventure, we get an extra 2 gold for the dwarf. Because, well, dwarfs like gold, and they probably end up finding it and digging it, or maybe was they taking out the gold fillings out of some of the goblins. So we take the farmer's daughter back, and we look into that in another video, just to see about travelling and what happens when you go back to the village. But before you go, the dwarf has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gold. I mean, you can't really spend any of that in a village because it's just a lot. I mean, you could go straight to a city now and hopefully find some good stuff. But saying that, you're badly wounded. And the barbarian has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they've both done really well with gold today, actually. The dwarf has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 experience. 4 more experience points, and the dwarf can level up. And the barbarian has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry about that little glitch. My memory ran out. Oh, I'm still getting used to this phone technology. So everybody, there we go. Barbarian only needs 2 more experience points and he can level up. And I think that second part was just 30 minutes. So the whole game from scratch to the final battle, I do believe, was about an hour and a half. And that was me explaining to you on camera in part 1, and then just getting stuck in a bit more for myself on part 2. We rescued a farmer's daughter. The barbarian had to test to see if he was going to collapse on the ground and maybe die if not careful. But luckily, his bravery allowed him to pass that. And the dwarf was close as well. 1 more wound for him, and he would have to make a badly wounded test as well. But we killed all the goblins at the very end. We got some good experience. And I must admit, I really enjoyed that last battle. There's me on camera trying to remember all the walls and all the pressures of going live, so to speak. No editors for mistakes. But those high rolls at the very end for both heroes, where we got all those heroic actions, really made a big difference. I do remember the dwarf doing a battle roar better than the barbarian, and 2 goblins running off. But we got some really good blows in there. There was a moment where I believe there was a teamwork card, where you can imagine the dwarf and the barbarian sort of bumping backs against each other in that cinematic movie moment as the last few goblins trying to surround them, and we eventually dispatched them. And it must have looked so good for the farmer's daughter to see us all being quite heroic. Wow, so that's that, end of Friday. So at some point I have to edit this, and obviously it would have worked because you would have seen it. But yeah, that was me in my little basement here at Soul Sonic headquarters of my house in the East Coast. And hopefully that was a decent playthrough for you. And I think you get an understanding of what we're trying to create, so the experience of going down into random dungeons, fighting monsters, without the continual moving of squares and movement, all that dead air in between the fights, and double backtracking on a large table. So we tried to take that whole Shadows of Brimstone, the whole Warhammer Quest experience of exploration and combat, and we've condensed it down into a card imagination experience. Anyway, I'll have to watch these videos myself and see what sort of job I did in presenting this as a rough demo, and see how the story plays out for me sitting on my sofa one evening watching what I did. So anyway, lovely adventurers, brave adventurers, thank you for coming with me on this little bit of a journey today. And if you've been watching all the videos up to now, big thank you. A few days from now, or depending when you watch it, I will see about doing a little travel video with some temporary cards I'm using, and then I'll be able to show you what happens when you go to the village. Obviously the daughter gets handed back. We can spend our gold on basically being a village. It's going to be things like, do you want to buy some rope, some torches, bandages for your wounds, and supplies really for the next dungeon. So yeah, even though we've got quite a bit of gold there, we're going to still need it to fix ourselves, and like most adventurers, we're always going to be penniless in between each adventure until we find, say, a treasure chest or two. And as you can see by the cards in front of us, there's 10 in each of those 4 omen decks, and there was lots we never turned over. So even with a simple 10-card deck, every time you play there's going to be new experiences, new challenges, and of course you add your own monsters and swap out different cards for any adventure you want. So anyway, thank you so much for this, and I'm going to have a break. Take care, and hopefully see you next time. Bye all.